Welcome to Winning Inside, the show where we follow the journey from feeling defeated to winning. Here are your hosts, Cheddy Matthews and Michelle Wickman.
Hello, amazing people. Welcome to the Winning Inside podcast, where we discuss real issues, insights, and solutions to help you thrive in your day-to-day lives. We know life happens, and we can choose to be a spectator or a participant.
These conversations and stories are about the participants, the ones who made the choice to do the inner work and found a way to keep moving forward. Michelle, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great.
It's actually cloudy outside. It's actually beautiful outside. It's beautiful and cloudy at the same time. I don't know how to explain that.
It's been cloudy for like a week. I swear it's so strange.
I haven't been out much.
Yeah, no, you really haven't. You really haven't. It has been cloudy with random drizzles, showers. It's San Diego, and this is highly unusual for October.
Love it.
But hey, we'll take it. We'll take it.
I'll take it. I actually love this weather, so I have no issues with it at all. But I haven't been outside to enjoy this beautiful, I guess, fall weather, autumn weather, because I've been so busy just working. And I'll tell you, I've been working a lot, but not getting a lot of stuff done. That's what it feels like. I feel like I've been really in my own head, just overanalyzing stuff, just thinking about stuff and rethinking about stuff and second guessing myself, which to a point serves a purpose in the beginning, but then after a while, it doesn't serve the same purpose. And I've been doing that with my homework and my schoolwork, second and third guessing myself, questioning this, typing and deleting. What if they really mean this? What if they mean that? And I've been really going down my own rabbit holes that I created, and it's been slowing me down. So therefore, I haven't been outside much to enjoy this beautiful autumn weather with this overcast skies, and it's just lovely outside.
Yeah, that's so relatable. I mean, it's so relatable. There are certainly times in my life where I feel like it's almost cyclical, right? Not in terms of a perfect circle or a perfect pattern, but in terms of there are just times when I'm in sort of a low production cycle.
Yes.
And I totally hear that right now. Overthinking every single step that I'm taking as an entrepreneur. And it's not always this way, which is really fascinating too, right?
Yeah.
That sometimes it's like you just feel like things are just flowing and like creativity is just like coming at your ears, and you can take action in the areas that you want to take action in. And then there's times where it's like, do I really want to do that? And once I entertain that, it's like a spiral of thoughts. Yes. Oh,
it's like a spark. It just waits to get lit, and it's just like, psst,
yeah,
boom.
Yeah, exactly.
Just waiting, just do it, just do it, and it really does slow you down. I tell you, I can get so consumed by overthinking. Overthinking is a way for me it slows me down, but not in a way, we talk about slowing down sometimes to kind of get clarity and to focus on things. This is not that. This is pulling the handbrake on the highway, wheels locked up, things not progressing the way they ought to. This is totally just stopping you in your tracks. When you talk about spinning your wheels, I'm just spinning my wheels. A lot of times that can come from, one of the places that can come from at least, is overthinking. When you're doing a lot of effort, but you're getting no fruit from it, you're getting no results from it. A lot of times that can come from overthinking. And I know in my world, that's one of the things that really holds me back, because thinking is something that I like to do. So therefore, I value it. But there's a point where thinking prevents you from doing.
100%.
And that's the problem. You have to know the difference between, are we just thinking for the sake of thinking, or are we thinking so we can take action? And thought without action is great, but it yields no fruit. You got to get something done. It has no produce. It doesn't produce anything. So we've got to make sure that somehow we can get out of this cycle.
Yeah.
And it's just,
it's the quality of your thoughts too, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of times when we're overthinking, our brain is just like going and going. It's like a train.
Yes.
and you just can't throw that little barrier down fast enough, right? And it's just
Yeah.
going to keep running right through it
Keep
because
going.
once your brain starts going, it's like, all right, here you go.
Yeah.
And a lot of it, for me at least, comes from that vigilance, right? So it's
Mhm.
always just like, is this the best option or should I do it this way?
Yes.
Or maybe somebody would prefer it this way, or maybe my client would like this program better.
Yeah.
It's just constantly overthinking. And then also, it's not overthinking in terms of looking forward and what actions do I want to take to move forward, but it becomes overthinking looking backwards. And I'm like, oh, hell no, because you can't even change that now.
Yep.
All
Yep.
of that stuff is a fact. It's in stone. It's in the past. There's nothing you can change about it, but I am overthinking how I could have made adjustments to make it better. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I know I'm doing it,
Yeah.
right? Like that's the worst part is I think as Cheddy and myself as coaches that it's the worst and best part because in part we laugh at ourselves and we laugh at each other because we're really transparent with our shortcomings or when we're in a sort of low production cycle or our thoughts have poor quality to them. We can kind of laugh at each other and laugh at ourselves because we understand that that's all that this is. And
Hmm.
yet, even though we know that that's all that this is and it feels very simple, it's so challenging still.
Yes.
And I mean, we're laughing now because like we get it. Like,
Yeah.
if you understand what we're talking about, please send us a message because
Oh yeah.
listen, this is being human, right?
Absolutely.
So we always talk about, and Cheddy talks about this all the time, like, how do we get curious with what's going on? Like, we can apply that same curiosity to like, I wonder how I can improve on this, or I wonder how I can make adjustments, and so on and so forth. But that, like, when you push curiosity too far,
Rabbit hole.
yeah, rabbit hole of overthinking and no action behind it.
And it is such a waste of mental energy. And the sad thing is that turns into emotional energy and it can really throw you off in so many ways. It has so many effects on what we do and how we do what we do. So it's one of the things you really want to be mindful of and figure out how it happens in your life. You got to catch it early because like we said, we're talking about producing, we're talking about how it slows you down and how it delays you. But if you can catch it early enough, you can adjust that thought process. But just like so many things, just like anger and fear and low vibrational energy and emotions, if you don't catch them in time, you just kind of go down the slide. But if you catch it just before you get to that point, if you start to notice the symptoms of when you're doing it, you can adjust those behaviors. And then you can do things where you're now in control, you're now empowered, and you're not controlled by the emotion, or in this case, the overthinking. Because if you're thinking and it's producing no fruit, it's producing no results, it's not getting you anywhere, it's probably overthinking. And you probably hear people talk about the 80% solution kind of is good enough. When is good enough good enough? Sometimes that may be what we need to do. Like, I've got a thought, I've got a plan, I've got an action, I'm going to execute it. Because at least you're taking steps on the journey. But if we're just thinking and processing, over processing, hyper processing, that's all we're doing. Processing thought is great. And believe me, I'm all about thinking. We should all think. But if all we're doing is thinking and it doesn't result in actions, then what are we doing here? We're wasting energy and we're wasting time.
And
So,
I think that's such a high, like, that's an incredible point that if we look at our brain energy as being finite, right?
mhm.
Like, we only have a certain amount of capacity to create quality thoughts. And if we start sort of just letting our energy just be depleted by low quality thoughts, then really, how are we leveraging our time during the day? And
Yeah.
then it's day after day after day of this, right? And I want to be clear as well that having anxiety myself, like diagnosed, that it's not that. Okay. So we're not saying, listen, if you have anxiety and your brain is kind of just chugging along and you're not having high quality thoughts that, this is going to be the cure all. It's not that. Like, absolutely encourage you to go seek assistance, whether it's through, a primary care physician, whether it's through prescription, whether it's through a therapist. Absolutely go, seek assistance with managing that.
Yes.
And with that, there are so many practices that Cheddy and I both do, right? To manage our energy and manage our minds. And this is years in the making. So when he's saying, hey, try to catch that overthinking process before you go down sort of like that steep curve of the slide, or you're just about to tip over the roller coaster and you're just like, what's coming, right? If you can't do that, it's fine. Because whenever you catch yourself, that's the perfect moment for you to catch yourself.
Exactly.
And it's in that moment when you recognize, oh, these are not high quality thoughts because I haven't taken an action in the last, 90 minutes. Me yesterday, for example. If I haven't taken action towards what I want to accomplish and however long it's been for you, what do you want to do at that point when you recognize, oh, wait, I am overthinking this and I have done 0 actions, right? I mean, I kid you not, Cheddy, like I have pages. I'll do like thought dumps, right? Brain dumps on a page of paper where I have sort of like these jumbled thoughts that just start popping into my brain when I start overthinking things. And so I'll just put them on a piece of paper because my brain's like trying to keep all of these thoughts in my brain and processing them all the way through. Whereas I'm like, I can't do that because I'm not taking any action. So I'll just start writing all the thoughts about myself, the thoughts about like the judgment thoughts about why I'm not taking action, or the quality thoughts about what it is that I want to accomplish. All the thoughts just start populating. And as seamlessly as possible, it doesn't even have to be super legible. I'm not going to lie. Most of mine aren't. It's like scribbles on a piece of paper. But the ability to just sort of put them on physically on paper and take them out of your brain where your brain's trying to keep them. It's trying to maintain these thoughts because it thinks that it's helping you for the future, right? But it's not. It's actually holding you back from getting to your future, taking the actions to get you to your future.
Wow. I love that. And it's interesting that you just said it in that way, because as you were speaking, the visual, as I'm having this mental picture in my mind, that's the only place you can have a mental picture, right? Duh. But as I'm having this picture in my mind, all I could think of was, if you get new furniture, you have to get rid of the old furniture. I.e., if you have new ideas and positive thoughts to go somewhere, you sometimes have to remove some of the old thoughts and ideas to make space for the new information. And if you have priorities that are no longer priorities, you're going to move that stuff out for the new priorities. That applies to thoughts as well. I see you looking, Michelle. I see your mind looking. But have you ever thought about the overthinking journey? Like, have you ever walked yourself through it and as the thoughts are going through your head? Because I actually want to do that right now. I want to do that right now.
Okay. All right.
This is going to sound messy, but this was me last week when I was going to school. This is on me on a Friday morning. Well, Thursday night, this is all started. This is where the overthinking started. Thursday night. All right, Ched, you got to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning so you can get on the road by 5:30. You need to be on the road by 5:30 to avoid traffic and blah, blah, blah. It's going to take you 2.5 hours, maybe 3. You got to leave early. Oh, wait, I didn't pack. What am I packing for tomorrow? I guess I need some business casual clothes. Do I need shoes or sneakers? I'm going to be on my feet all day. Let me bring some nice sneakers that look like shoes. I'm thinking about all these things that just pack the bag, put some clothes in it, hit the road. No. I'm thinking and thinking and thinking. I was supposed to leave at 5:30 in the morning. I don't think I left until about, I think it was like 11, 12, 1. Because I was still thinking and planning and like, what if this? What if that? What if I got to go to a wedding? What if I got to go to a funeral? What if I got to go to a sports event? What if I need workout clothes? What if I need this? What if I spill something on my clothes? And I'm driving and I'm getting them like, okay, which way do I go? Do I go this way? I'm thinking about everything. All I should have done was just hit the GPS, keep it moving. I'm thinking, I'm overthinking. What if this way's bad? What if there's an accident down there? Why did traffic get so bad all of a sudden? There must be something on the road. I'm going to get off. I'm hungry. What do I want to eat? And I could hear myself. It was almost like the more I was making up these thoughts, the more it was happening. I was almost like in a mental frenzy on my way to school.
Yeah, that is definitely a mental frenzy. And what I'm hearing in that entire process is a lot of decisions that need to be made. And because we just didn't make the decision in advance, right? You didn't just decide, I am going to follow the GPS and I'm not even going to worry about it or assess as I go. That you can get decision fatigue too, right? And that's where even more stress shows up, because then you're overthinking the small decisions. So it's interesting that you have this example of overthinking that's a day-long process or 24-hour process, right?
Yeah.
Whereas my overthinking, it oftentimes comes to one decision.
Nice.
It's like one thing I'm working on. And then 2 hours later, I'm like, oh my God, I still haven't done anything, nothing. Right. And it's not all things. It's just, it happens every once in a while.
Yes.
And then, again, there's certain times in my life where circumstances in my life have adjusted or shifted, where those sort of low quality thoughts and low production cycles show up.
Yes.
And when they show up, then it becomes harder for me to take that action. So overthinking equates to, slow action or no action, right? Which then equates to, I hate to say it, but more overthinking.
Yep.
About how you haven't done the things that you want to do, right?
Yes.
That's how it shows up in my life. In your life, you start realizing you have so many things on your plate. And I know that we've talked about this multiple times in various podcasts.
It's a smorgasbord.
That you have so many things on your plate. And it's like, it's the juggling act, right? You really don't want any one of those to fall. So your brain is constantly processing, but you get into complete exhaustion and you can't even make the simplest decisions that are going to alleviate some of that mental energy drain.
Yes. You actually cause the thing you're trying to avoid. When I get into that space, the space you're talking about, and I'm like, I don't want to miss this out on this. Like, what happens? You miss things. I have missed things because I'm sitting there thinking and waiting for the thing to occur. And I'm like, oh, it's time for that thing that happened an hour ago. I just missed it. How did that even happen? It's just sometimes these thoughts just are so foggy and so cloudy and so cluttering that you've got to remove them to get a breath of fresh air so you can actually see things for what they are. And making a decision can be easy or hard. You make it or you don't make it. But sometimes we make it so difficult, and delaying a decision doesn't make it easier or harder. Sometimes whatever's happening, the reason why you need to make a decision is still occurring, and you haven't had your vote in that life action, whatever that is. So,
okay, I want to jump in on that, because that is a huge point, Cheddy. Not making a decision doesn't equate to stress relief or not overthinking. It is this ongoing sort of processing that's taking place in your brain.
Yes.
You know that you have a decision to make, even though you're just like, oh, I'm just not going to do it right now. I'm not going to make the decision right now. Right. Yeah. But the reality is, you have a decision to make. So your brain is still holding on to that decision.
Yes.
That maybe yes, maybe no, maybe this, maybe that. If you start adding those up onto your life, if you want to know what's really going to trigger some anxiety, there is lack of decision making. Yeah. And overthinking absolutely contributes to that. Yes. That sort of indecisiveness or non-decisiveness, right? That is I can't even stress enough how important it is that we make decisions, even if we change our mind later.
That's okay. Yes. Yes.
Make the decision, and make the decision based off of the information that you have. And then if you change your mind, be okay with that.
Yes. Yes, exactly. I love that. And it's okay to change your mind. It's okay. But you want to make sure your vote is counted in your life actions, whatever that is. In the Marine Corps, we used to talk about something called violence of action. What that really meant was, if you make the right decision or the wrong decision, just do it and do it hard. Go all in and do that thing. If it's the wrong decision, at least you did something, and you're probably better off than you were if you didn't do anything. And it used to teach us to just think, do it. And it really made us very quick when it came to making actions. And a lot of times it may have been, in essence, in theory, the wrong action. But because you were doing something and you were progressing, you could actually adjust it on the fly and do whatever needed to be done. But you were doing something, which is so much better than most people waiting and thinking and analyzing and pausing. Because a lot of times that person who's able to make that action first can benefit from being the first and can dictate the tempo of whatever it is you're doing, whether it's a sport, whatever kind of human interaction it is. Sometimes being the first can make it just that much better. Even if it's not the best decision, you made one. So don't be afraid. And you're not always going to have the perfect decision. That's the funny thing. I was telling my children this the other day, that, you might think for hours about making like the perfect decision, the perfect thought, or the perfect thing. Who is it perfect for? Because there are some people going to be like, this is great. And other people are like, this is rubbish. You're never going to please everyone. It's never, whatever you decide is never going to satisfy every factor. You just do the best you can for the result you're looking for. And that's all you can do. And if it's not what you want, okay, that's a learning point. If it is what you want, great. If it's close to what you want, well, let's refine it. If it's really far away from you want, let's stop, pause, reassess, and do it again. But at least you're moving, you're learning, you're progressing, you're growing, you're living. Because sometimes overthinking can just be like spinning your wheels.
It totally is spinning your wheels. And I'll be honest, like, we distill a lot of our information down to some really basic concepts, right?
Yeah.
And overthinking, to me, is rooted in fear.
Absolutely.
And so, whereas the opposite of fear is love, right? That overthinking, being rooted in fear, is always going to hold us back from whatever possibility or potential that we want to have in our lives.
Yes.
Right? It's going to really just hide us from even experiencing life and all that it actually has to give. And it's so funny when I say that, because I'm afraid of that, right? Yeah. I'm afraid of that, what I just said. And yet I overthink, which is fear-based.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm afraid of both sides, right? But it's essentially all based off of like, I'm afraid of not having the things, not experiencing the things, not living up to the things. Yes. And yet I'm afraid of doing the things that are going to get me there. And it's so infuriating, right? And again, I have to also admit that fear and oftentimes overthinking and delaying decisions, that is also based in just a lack of understanding or clarity around your self-worth.
Yes.
Right? Like if you really had a high sense of self-worth, that you would recognize that no matter what decision you made or no matter what action you take, despite it, to your point, despite it being right or wrong, quote unquote, right? Because that's always oftentimes based off of perception as well.
Yep.
But whether it being right or wrong, you're still taking action and you're starting to eliminate sort of the actions that don't serve you. But in order to recognize and identify what they are and make the pivots that you mentioned earlier, you still have to make the mistakes and take the actions and so on and so forth. So we are distilling a lot of what we share down to fear and love, right? And this is for sure fear-based.
This is all on the fear side of the spectrum, definitely on the fear side of the spectrum. But Michelle, if we do what you said, if we kind of screw it and do it, if we handle our business and make it happen, make a decision, take the shot, take a call, do whatever, however you want to say it. If we do that thing, even if it's not the best decision, there's so much we can learn from, so much value in that, so many experiences gained. Because if you look back in your life, you can always say, I did this once and it wasn't the best decision, but I learned the next time I'll do this. And
or the next time I just won't do that at all.
Won't do that. Exactly. You learn one way or the other. There's a lesson.
There's like a whole decade where I would probably say that.
Ending. Woo. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm laughing because I'm like, yep. But you're right. It's so many experiences you can get just from that, from living. There's so many experiences you can get from living. And sometimes thinking is a process in life, but overthinking is really not the same to me as living, because you're not doing the things you're thinking about a lot of times.
Yeah.
Because at the point where you should say, all right, I think I should do this, and go, you're like, well, what about this if I do this? You add a subset to that, and another one, and another one. And you just realize you're at the race line, you're at the start line of this race, and you're just revving your engine. 20 minutes later, you're still there. And you're like, but you didn't go anywhere. The light's green. What are you doing? You're still waiting to go. While somebody who maybe not be as good as you, smart as you, amazing as you, whatever, somebody who's not you may do that thing. Go ahead and do that thing. Go ahead and knock that thing out, whatever it is. You deserve it, and you owe it to yourself to make the decisions in your life to help you get where you're trying to go.
Okay, so how do we move past overthinking? How would you make your adjustments?
The first thing is you got to recognize it. You know me. You got to see it. You got to be like, yep, I'm doing. I mean,
with the 3-step process, right?
Yep.
First is awareness.
Yep.
And then assess. So, what is it that you want to do? What would you do in this case?
Cheddy, you're asking about Cheddy. What would I do?
Yeah.
What did I do? I was like, okay, last week, I was like, dude, what are you doing? What are you thinking about? It's not that hard to get some food. Get some food, get back on the road and get where you're going. I had to like really shake myself up and be like, why are you thinking so much about these things? And just calm down. And I had to get into a place where I calmed down, because I realized that overthinking became frantic and panic-esque. I was like, dude, you're panicking. What are you panicking about?
How did you calm down?
I realized that I was panicking and realized, dude, you've got this. You've done everything you need to do. You know where you are. You're not going to get there as early as you thought, but you're going to get there early. So get there, shine, and handle your business. And I kept it moving. Love it. And I just started strong. I was like, this is great. And I slowed down. I opened the windows and the sunroof, played some music, and just cruised and was like, I'm going to get there when I get there. And I'm going to get there early. And I'm going to have a great time. And I did. But you know what else happened? You
utilized some affirmations. You utilized positive, motivational self-talk.
Yeah.
And you utilized getting into your body and being present and finding the little things in that very moment that you can enjoy. Like you said, like feeling the breeze, opening the sunroof, feeling the sun.
Had to.
Yeah.
Because I could feel myself grinding my teeth. I could feel my teeth. I like just biting down on my teeth. I could feel myself doing it. I was like, dude, what are you doing? Like, what? And I'm looking around like, it's a beautiful day. Why are you in this stress mode? You're in like a stress cycle right now. Chill out. And I had to tell myself that. But I think I was on the road for probably 2 hours before I realized that I was even in that cycle. And if you think about it, I was in that cycle for probably 12 hours before with all the thinking that I was doing on Thursday night into, Friday morning. So it was, you have to catch it. You've got to catch it. And then you got to do things to do it. But then you got to make a decision and be like, this is it. This is the decision I've made and I'm going to walk in it. Because then once I did that, I felt like I was in control again. I felt like I was empowered, not being consumed by these decisions and these choices and these options. But really, I felt like I was in control and I was doing exactly what I decided to do. As soon as like a switch went on, as soon as I started thinking like that, I was like, oh, I got this. And it made everything change. My driving habits changed. The windows open, like I told you, and I'm just chilling. And I got there all great. Life was good. And I was there before a lot of people. And I was like, wow, this is cool. So
you went from being stressed, right? And overthinking. And then you recognize that, hey, this is what's happening. You made an assessment. And you assess like, okay, what is physically going on?
Yeah.
What can I do at this point? And then you made a choice and took action, right? And then there's 3 basic steps to shifting, but it always starts with awareness. And so when Cheddy's sharing, like he just made the choice, but what happened when he made a simple choice of like, this is not what I want. And this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be decisive. I'm going to be present. I'm going to be in my body. I'm going to think, high quality thoughts, right? Positive, reflecting, high quality thoughts. And when he did that, it shifted his entire energy and he felt empowered rather than controlled by his brain. He was able to empower himself. And then going forward, I'm guessing, right, that you felt more empowered and decisive for the rest of the day.
For the rest of the weekend. Yeah.
Amazing.
And one thing I also did is I actually acknowledged that. I was like, good on you, Ched. That's good to go. Like I actually gave myself credit for that. I actually pat myself on the back, which a lot of times I won't do. But I've realized in this situation, I think it was very good for me to acknowledge what I had gone through and acknowledge the fact that I had kind of come out on the other side in a positive way. And I had to tell myself, that was good to go. Look at you, man. And it's funny because I talk to myself like I'm someone else, but I was like, look at you, man. I did that thing. Mm-hmm. And because I needed that associative win. I needed to associate that win with what had happened. And so for the next time, if it happens again, I can know that, hey, the last time this happened, I have a reference point now. I changed my thoughts, I empowered myself, and it turned out okay. So now I have a reference point, a tag that I can kind of refer to the next time and say, hey, you've done this before, you've been here before, and you came out on the other side when you made a decision. So it's good to have a reference point.
And once you recognize it too, you can kind of look back. And like I said, don't go looking back like I do sometimes and overthinking what's happened in the past, but looking back and saying like, where can I really support myself in even before that moment where you recognized it, right? So it's like looking back to the, 5 a.m. goal that you had set to leave. But then looking backwards in terms of setting yourself up for success, knowing that you have to go up there. What is it? Every other weekend, right?
Yep.
You already know this. So then, packing should be easy because it's like, I already know this is coming. Pack on a Monday so you don't even have to think about it. Right. Yep. So it's these little things that how can we set ourselves up for success once we recognize the impact that it had and the effort it took to make the adjustment.
Yes.
So there's other ways that a lot of people are going to tell you like, oh, how do you sort of facilitate your thought process? How do you get out of the overthinking and over analyzing, if you will, right? Mm-hmm. So a lot of people will say, do a pros and cons list. Like, what if you make this decision versus that decision? Yeah. And then what I'll do is I'll look at that pros and cons list and I'm like, now I'm going to overthink every one of these bullet points. So my honest to goodness, like my best option is to just take action. And that is so scary for me.
Yes.
Because all the things that fall under overthinking, like that's totally me. Right.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
So just taking the smallest, tiniest action towards sort of like the average size action that you want to take. I'm not talking about like some big goal or big action. I'm talking about just like an average decision, an average task, an average action that I need to take for my business, for my personal relationships. I will take a teeny, tiny chunk off of that. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'll do. Right.
It starts the momentum. So,
yes. Because you gotta build up sort of like just the tolerance of taking action, no matter what the results. Mm-hmm. So it's not even that I'm afraid of the no, or I'm afraid of like the failure so much as just taking that first step is just like, takes a lot. So for me, it's just taking action. That's it. Wow. That's literally the best thing for me to get out of the overthinking process. Like sometimes blind, and I'm going to call it like blind as in like, just like not processing at all, but like not even conscientious action. Sounds so ridiculous, but I got to do it.
Yeah.
Guys, I got to do it. It's my reality, and I know myself well enough at this point. And guess what? I can always change later. So there.
Boom. It's just taking it back. You're in control. It's a control you have. It's a beautiful thing. I actually enjoyed this. Thank you so much for today, Michelle. This was really good. It was good because we talk about these things, but as I'm talking about it, I'm realizing that I do this too. So, you know what I mean? I do this in my own life. And I think hearing this and actually speaking about it in this way is going to enable me to be much better at catching myself in the midst of overthinking. So This is for everyone who's listening. Love you guys. But this is also for me, and I needed this. So thank you, Michelle, for bringing this out, because this is golden and it's going to be beneficial to me. And this is something that I'm going through right now in my life. I mean, this is current history. This was last week. So, or the week before, last week. So boom. Thank you. And thank you. And thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh.
All right, guys. Cheddy and I are on a mission to shift 500 minds in the next, 20 something days?
20 something days. Yep.
I just can't believe how fast this month is going. So everything we do as coaches is mindset based. Our podcasts, our coaching frameworks, our workshops, and our speaking engagements.
Yeah. So I'm inviting you to join us in this challenge by sharing this or any other episode that has made an impact on your mindset with 5 friends. Send us directly an email to winninginsidepodcast@gmail.com. I'll say it again, winninginsidepodcast@gmail.com. And let us know who you've shared our podcast with, or if you'd like to know more information about how you can work with us.
Let's go help 500 people transform their mindset and just watch what happens.
Thank you for listening to Winning Inside with Cheddy Matthews and Michelle Wickman. If you enjoyed today's show, please make sure to click the follow button, rate and review at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, or wherever you get your podcast. You can connect with Cheddy and Michelle at winninginside.io. Keep listening. Another episode is coming soon.